better suited to be discussed in the video work group. So what we are here to do right now is to talk about all work group leads having a monthly call to discuss and align on the objectives of the SingularityNet Ambassador Program. So your proposal is good, but it will be best suited for the video work group. I think they will give you more direction on that. Is that okay, Rob?
Oh yeah, that's perfect because yeah, I'm just waiting. Like I'm not waiting, but Casey's gonna already have a meeting with me very soon
All right
for
then.
specifically for that purpose, and he's gonna map everything out. I'm gonna map everything out on my side over here, so I could visually see it, and then creatively bring
Okay.
what I have to do and do a little research, and then creatively and then creatively recreated stuff, and it should be really really nice from there on with like what we have to offer, because I can come up with a way to securely like drop assets like at places and consider and
Okay.
at places all yeah, at places.
All right. Okay then. So probably you and Kizzy will meet up after now. All right. So guys, we're here to talk about what the work group leads monthly call and how are we going to get that done. So it's open for discussion. Welcome, Peter. Welcome, Waka and OEP.
Hello. I kind of missed the intro on the topic. Sorry.
Okay, so this breakout room is to discuss a monthly call for work group leads to come together and try to discuss, share ideas, what's happening in the work group, in each work group to see that there's an alignment and there's no crossover on tasks or responsibilities as such. Did you get that, Walter?
Yes, thank you, Sugar. This was wonderful. I get my news in this town hall setting, and I avoid becoming a lead best I know how. But yeah, if others want to do it, that's great too.
Yeah. So, Peter, I know we used to have something like that back then when, but it was called like the ambassadors. I can't even remember. But then all ambassadors then were one group lead, so it was like an ambassadors call. So we're kind of bringing it back. Welcome, GMO. So suggestions. Welcome, Duke. Yeah, how are we going to hold this call? When do we do it? First of all, last
If I may,
last week of the month.
one point of order, let's say.
Yeah.
I joined a little later because I was in the main room, but was it discussed who would be feeding back into the main meeting? What would like the report, let's say, of the breakout room, just before we actually kick off?
Yeah. I guess I will. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Nice.
Sukran.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, just to say it again, Duke, you were not here when we began. I said this breakout rooms to discuss what group leads monthly call. So we're just going to discuss and share our ideas and thoughts. When do we want this to happen? First week of every month or last week of every month? Or rather, maybe I should start with first of all. Is this something that we would like to happen? Okay.
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if somebody wants to argue against having this call, I would be interested to hear. But I would also be a little bit surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So
and just to following your arguments, Sucre, and so it will be probably better to have it at the beginning of the month, as we are going to finish this one, or probably to finishing this one, the last week of each month, just to start the discussion.
okay. So you're going for the first week of the month, and Duke says the last week of the month. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The last week of each month, having this happening
Okay.
will be the week from the 24th to the 28th of this June. Yes.
Okay. So beginning the last week of this month. All right. Okay. So what is the agenda going to be like? What are we going to talk about?
I would say it's really dependent on what's urgent at that moment, right? But at the same time, now you say it like this makes me, yeah, there might be some recurring topics that would make sense.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a very generic answer, like almost like a non.
Yeah.
No, but I think it will be good if we don't start from zero. So we have these two work groups that we in governance that they were really on point on the needs, what we did good or bad. So probably we can have that board into the discussion on bringing an agenda of what went wrong, so what we need to change. Yeah, and probably that will be a starting point for discussion on building an agenda for that call.
Okay. Yeah, Walter, you have your hand up.
So I kind of want to take a functional approach to this, in that, what are we trying to accomplish? So with the standing weekly town hall meeting, which is pretty much, like several of us, like a dozen of us always show up for. What isn't it doing that we also need to get done? And one thing that's always been, a concern to me, that even though a lot of the time the town hall is structured around work group and guild status reporting, but Peter would be a better judge, but I think roughly anywhere between 40 and 50% of the leads do not show up. So I suspect it's because of, so it's probably because of either they cannot make the time slot, or they don't know that they're expected to or wanted to, or they don't perceive the benefit. So I'm not sure which one it is. And if we don't know, then I don't know if scheduling yet another time slot would fix it. So that to me is the big deal why so often the leadership of the units is not in the town hall. Peter, do you have a sense?
I'm not sure if I would fully agree on that low attendance, to be honest. There's usually a couple. I mean, we haven't done endless amounts of these yet, but there's usually a couple of work groups that don't have a representative. Which, yeah, it's interesting to try and figure out what's up there. And I fully agree on that.
Yeah, no blame attached, because I don't know that we've ever made it sort of that we desire their presence. And yeah, you're probably right that 40% was high, but because it's roughly same people, most of the time I suspect it's about the time slot.
It might be. Well, we wouldn't put this work group lead call at the same time slot, so.
Right. Well, but that's so either they can't physically make it, or they don't know that they're expected and invited to, or they don't perceive the benefit. So it's prioritized down to them.
Yeah, fair.
As to what needs
Yeah,
covering, it's basically, I think what we are missing is a forum for larger planning and decisions and so on, like when the transition, with all the hoopla around the transition of the marketing came up, people wanted to make decisions at the organizational level, and we kind of didn't really have a mechanism to do that. So that there would be, so typically our budget talks, right, our organizational talk. Like I'd like to keep pitching, moving more towards the outreach, kind of keep increasing the outward looking fraction of the overall effort. So this would be a good forum to which I could pitch.
All right. Thanks. Thank you for your thoughts, Walter. Yeah, Guillermo, go for it.
Yeah. Hey, Walter, good to see you, my friend. Just for a little bit of context, as always Peter says, we discussed this several times. So Kenichi present the idea, I think already a month ago. The Strategy Guild have been discussing. And the main objective of this call will be for communication, narrow objectives, nail things down with create concrete action items in things, and to participate all work groups and guilds. And what we were talking today at the governance is that we shouldn't call it a work group guilds leaders meeting monthly. Probably it is more of a representative. So it's, but again, this is all open discussions. So it's representatives of each work group that present status, situation, objectives, goals, and we have a place where to share that. And that wouldn't be overlapping with ambassador town halls that we have different things, different kind of gatherings, workshopping, presenting new proposals, introducing new members. This is a space where we discussing these things. So this will be a specific space once a month where we will figure out time slots, because if a leader, and we agree that work groups and guilds should have more than one leader, each all should lead, to make it easy for this to happen and to address all these items and to have a flow communication to be able to advance even faster than we are doing. That will be the idea, the main idea. I don't know if I'm missing something, Peter. Sucre, you guys were there today.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's the main purpose of it. So we just begin, and then as we go along, it gets to be more defined. Okay. I think as for the time of the meeting, we would have to make create like a when to meet, so it accommodates everyone's time zone, so everyone will be able to be present for the meeting. And yeah, for facilitation, I think that's my suggestion. I think it should be rotational. What do you guys think?
Yeah, in itself, you would expect all the people in that call to be facilitators themselves as well, right? So we can for sure rotate.
Yeah. But of course, someone has to know direct the conversation.
No, true. Yeah, I would say, well, the directing conversation, sure. But I would also hope that there could be like just input coming from the work group leads. Like, if it's a monthly thing, then let's say the last couple of days before that call happens, to collect input on topics to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I was maybe, yeah, I'm curious if there's more things I'm not instantly thinking about right now, but yeah, in my mind it would be to have that call. The reason for it, the biggest reason would be to create a space to basically share about the topics all work groups are dealing with, like onboarding, budgets, archiving. Maybe there's more topics.
You mean like create a forum or a channel for it? Is that what you mean?
No, not by definition. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a good question actually. But I mean, to create a space, as in that call being the space where the work group leads can, just have conversation about these, how they are dealing with topic X, let's say.
Okay, yeah, I get that. But I was also thinking, so where are we going to pass this message? Let's say we want to have people submit topics to be discussed in the meeting. What channel is this going to be on? Do we put on the general channel? And is this going to be like an open meeting? Because this is like a meeting for work group leads. So
I would like it to be open, to be honest. But at the same time, if everybody's just gonna jump in and take time, that might also not be optimal. But I would try and steer away from shielding it off like some elitist kind of. We've had this issues before where the perception was that it's super elite or not open.
yeah, I get that.
Perhaps we do have a core contributor group that could maybe be a decent channel for asking for input, or general. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
50 people.
Okay,
so.
yeah, Basu, you have your hand up.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. I'm getting a sort of a deja vu by listening to like workgroup leads having a sort of a meeting. Peter must have known about like we had a sort of a model about round table. So it's getting to that same direction now. Yeah, so yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, we can use that model. I can present you guys if you don't have the document. You can take a sort of inspiration. We can change the name, of course. It does sound misleading because we don't have any ambassador as a role, but we do have representatives now. So yeah, you can use it, the distribution, because we already, I think, spent the time upon it for like a month in Education Guild at that time. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So for me, it isn't going to be like work group leads per se, but just send a representative of your work group to the meeting. So it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be the work group lead, but what we want to make sure is that every work group is represented in the meeting, and so they can give a feedback to the whole work group when they have their own individual meetings. So it's not going to be perceived like an elitist kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah,
Would that solve the problem?
No, sorry, Sucre, because I follow you because that's what we discussed today. It's like, let's keep it and lead it. We can rotate the representative of each group each month, and they will bring topics that all the team members of each work group and guild address before that meeting. So they will be, what was the analogy you did today, Peter, with the Greek mythology? It will be like a messenger. It's like, and we can rotate that, and that way it will not be a round table of leaders drinking beer. It will be a place to
Yeah.
discuss needs, topics. So whatever strategy or to do that, it's already driven, but it's basically communication between teams to address different problems that probably jump each time, and then to address goals, like the budget thing we have now.
Yeah. And this meeting should
All
be
right.
before, I think, our strategy guild meeting,
Okay.
so people can.
Our time is done.
Yeah, our time is done. So yeah.
Oh, only 10 seconds remaining. We didn't even touch on budget for facilitating this group. I think we can go
Yes, exactly.
but maybe not.
Yeah, we can talk about.
That was short. That was very short to me.
2 shots. That was 2 shots. We've not even done anything.
Yeah, it was really short. We're just cut short. Now discussion.
Good. And I thought our discussion was going to be just very brief. Yeah, it turned out that we had not even done. It didn't feel like we've done 30% of the discussion. We're just about to find our way. Like we're just trying to figure out, okay, so which way are we going to take? And then he said, you guys, the journey has ended. Like we've not even started the journey.
Well, something to note there is the intention was not to have the whole topic sorted within that breakout room, and that's end of story, right? More a starting point as such. So yeah, let's do the recaps. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the room on governance decisions schedule was mostly empty. So I think the recap of that one is just we need to sort this out in a different way, maybe asynchronous or maybe just in governance work group, or yeah. Not today, at least. So I forgot the order of rooms. Quick check. Yeah, then maybe on the new Navigator role, could we? Yeah, could somebody give a recap to those who were in the other room?
Soundwaves, do you want to do the recap, or Vani? Do you want to do the recap?
I would love to, but I would love to offer Vani first. Yes.
We had a fight, basically. No, I'm joking.
No.
What
No, we
we
were coming together.
What we were discussing is trying to get some clarity, because the thing is that it's really ironic that literally yesterday, Onboarding Workgroup has been coming up with something really similar to this. And we do kind of feel a little bit that, I don't know, maybe we're being precious, but we kind of feel like we've done a lot of work on how people come into the program, and we feel like we're quite well placed to do it. And what we've come up with is really similar to this Navigator role. And I was trying to get some clarity on how what's being suggested from Strategy Guild that they should run is different from what we're doing, and kind of how they're better placed to do it than the actual onboarding work group. And we didn't really get time to get there.
I'm not sure if the intention for this role is to be run by Strategy Guild. I think it would be.
I was told it was. That's what we said in our breakout room, isn't it? Soundwaves.
Not sure if you're replying, Soundwaves.
So,
if so, you are muted.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. So myself was actually trying to clarify too, who was going to sort of be in charge of setting this Navigator role into effect and getting a strategy sort of plan together. And myself wasn't looking for that specifically. I saw Vani had asked that question, who's going to be in charge of it? And I just said, yeah, that would be a great thing to know if there is someone to be in charge, if there is a work group or guild, to sort of take charge of that project. But specifically about the strategy, I myself was trying to come in saying, this is important to know because this is something for new people or someone to help new people. And that is so important for new members, whether they are just fans or friends or just here, they just showed up, or they're people that really want to work and can provide work and tech and tools. And then there's people that understand the business and are just here to talk and can manage in meetings. But either way, we need a navigator. We need somebody to help everyone figure out during meetings where to go, what to do. So with Peter, you stated initially at the main meeting, the main room, someone had asked a question that was new. What should I know here while I'm new? And you had offered, yes, you can participate if you'd like, but it's highly not recommended because you don't know what's going on yet. And that does help the flow. But what if all these meetings were asking everybody for their 2 cents and their ideas because they're fresh, but yet it slows down everything else? So that strategy, that's a bad strategy. That's a bad method, especially to practice. So it all ties together. If somebody had a navigator role, is it specifically to designate who is new, figuring it out, or who can help navigate and help new people navigate? And so that was I think that was my pitch mainly during that discussion.
I think when we talked about the navigator role in today's governance meeting, it was basically for someone who could be good to other work groups to see what they do and see how the work groups could, align. I think that was basically it's not someone pointing directions to someone who's coming new into the program. So I don't know. I wasn't in your breakout room. I don't know what was discussed. Or perhaps this could be discussed further.
Okay, can I, Ayo here, can I say something? So I noticed that this was one of the very first issue that we had to trash in the breakout room, and I think that we are not even done doing that. All right, there has to be some clarity concerning what this role is about. In the governance call, from the way that it came, I think it came from something that I said, and then something that Kenichi said as well. All right. And if you marry both together, I think the role comes down to a role where both is done. Serves as some type of information conduit or liaison between work groups and guilds. And also because of that, or because we decide that, also that it does navigation. Navigation basically means helping people get direction of where to go or how to get to where they want to go, or how to tell them where they should be headed or where they should go, and stuff like that. So from the name itself, it's already, it already kind of expresses something. So I think that we may have to agree on what this role, or remind ourselves what the discussion was earlier in the afternoon, so that, we don't have discrepancies about what we all think we are talking about. So maybe other people would like to speak to this so that we can have clarity.
Can I speak now?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, so I remember asking for clarity about this particular navigator role in the governance work group today. And based on what was said, I also said that this was something similar to what onboarding was trying to do. We've been doing it in a different way, but we decided to change it, change it a bit to fit like the whole program. So that was basically my thought about it. I don't know what other views or how others seem to understand the role. Okay.
Okay. I think we should try and have other people speak about it. Anyone?
Yeah, just like it's on the chat. Felix said maybe somebody who is not forcefully led or a decision maker within the work group, but able to know what multiple work groups are doing and help to navigate and communicate stuff across each other. So we tend to see that there's a lot of crossovers with tasks and some kind of things that we do in the work group. So that navigator, it's like to go around the work groups to see, okay, this work group is doing this work group is doing this. Or so maybe if there could be a collaboration or something, that would be better than two work groups doing the same thing at the same concurrently. Might not go very well. So that was what it was all about.
Okay. All right. I just remembered that in the breakout room, someone, I didn't get the name, put in the chat when I suggested that one of the ways we could consider this is, if we are having issues with figuring why or how, if that's proven too difficult, we could just go with why not or how not, all right? And that means to say, okay, let's all agree that we should have a navigator role, all right? And let's have it. Let's all decide what it should do, and then let's see that for a quarter. That would not disturb the wonderful work that onboarding is going to be doing. And that definitely will not disturb what Strategy Guild wants to do, all right? Because, I mean, if we continue trying to get what we say we are doing is clarity, but to me, it just sounds like we're just disagreeing. All right. What we have all agreed on that we seem to be forgetting is that there is a need. All right. There's a need. If there wasn't a need, we would not be having this conversation. So maybe we follow the why not approach. Maybe somebody said that, and I just wanted to say that maybe it's a way, it's something that we should.
All right.
Okay, so
no,
I'm sorry, Peter. I just wanted to respond to what he said because it's talking about
a tiny little bit. We are running over the slot. I don't mind creating a little space, a little additional space to have this conversation. But there's also another breakout room we need to recap on, and I don't want to run over like half an hour. So I just want to.
Okay. All right. So maybe we'll come back to this conversation. All right. I guess that's me. For Work Group League's monthly call. Yeah. We decided that this was needed. And the main purpose is for communication, for us to narrow down objectives and align our work groups. And our purpose as co-contributors in the SingularityNet program. And we agreed that we would have this meeting once a month. That would be in the last week of the month. So I think the first meeting will kick off the last week of this month. The day is yet to be decided, and also the time. On the agenda of what we will talk about, it will be about issues or concerns in various work groups. Probably as we go along the line, we'll get to narrow it down. So ultimately, we need work group leads or reps to be present in this call. So if a work group lead is not going to be there, there should be someone from the work group who can represent the work group, and whatever is being discussed there is taken back to the work group. So before the meeting, if there's any issue or any concern that you feel like you want to bring to the work group meeting, you can just discuss within your work group and then bring it to that meeting. Yeah, the time for the meeting will be done in such a way that it will accommodate everyone depending on your time zone, and then the facilitation will be rotated amongst work group leads or reps. And of course, we didn't get to finish everything anyway, yeah, because of time. So I think that those are the basic things that we captured for that. Those who were in the work breakout room, if I missed out anything, feel free to check in.
Now, I feel like that should have been the breakout room I should have gone to. It looks like everybody just had it very smooth. Anybody want to say anything to that? Was there anything that Sucre missed out? Any addition or any question as regards that?
Well, I would like to give a little bit of maybe assurance towards onboarding that if this new role indeed would be fully overlapping with, or considerably overlapping with something you already have the outline for. I don't think it's anybody's intention to steal the idea or make it owned by another work group or something like that. If anything, that role specifically is to just prevent reinventing the wheel. So it would be very ironic if we have two work groups doing that role. Then yeah, just wanted to add that. Walter?
So going back to basics, how did the naming Navigator arise? What was the problem that the Navigator is the solution to? Who wants to be a navigator? Let's do it this way.
Well,
I mean, amongst people present here, I mean, like, anybody wants to be a navigator, tell us what you're gonna do. Because to me, this is straight up onboarding. Onboarding is hard. It's a perennial problem in open organizations, not a solved one. And so if people perceive lack there, that's great. If they genuinely think they can do something different and better, I'd love to hear from them, because a lot of smart people tried for a long time and it still is a very big challenge. So if they're strategized a new approach or they've seen something, work, I'd love to learn. If they just think, okay, let's just do something more, and call it a navigator, then it's like, whatever, it's just gonna dissipate for lack of clarity. So anybody wants to be a navigator?
I think Sandwich has his hand on.
Yes. Sorry, Ayo. I just wanted to try to keep the time going so I didn't leave a pause. That's why I asked before we came back out of our break rooms what was the value of the word navigator, or what value does navigator role mean to everyone? Because I wanted to see what it meant to you individually and then come together from that perspective. Because yes, it is versatile. This role can be used in any way to bring on new people, to navigate our leads in the end of our meetings, to say, hey, what I heard was this. What about you, lead? Did you hear the same? And the navigator just helps the next meeting come from that. So there's a bunch of different perspectives, but what is the value to you?
Okay. I would, because I was in the governance session where this conversation started from. I would like to say, and this, I'm saying this now as a good form of clarity. Like Walter said, two separate concerns: recent arrival onboarding, and then comms between units. Yes, it looks like they are separate concerns, and if you call them two separate concerns, it's valid. Except that if you are looking for someone who would tell another person where to go, it has to be the same person who has information about everywhere possible to go. If you make them separate concerns, it means you are going to need two people who will still have to work together if ever the role were to come alive. So I'm saying this so that it's clear that people don't see this as two separate concerns that cannot be handled by one person. It's two separate concerns, but the way to settle those concerns are one solution: information and being available to use it to help somebody who do not have it. Now, somebody who do not have it can be a new person who just came into the program, or somebody who do not have it can be a lead or a member of a work group or a guild who has been around for years. All right. So I think that it may serve us well to lay this part of the conversation to rest. All right. It may look like it's two things, but look, at the end of the day, it's just one thing. Information, someone who have information and who have the responsibility to use it to serve other people. And we have identified the possible people that may need to be helped as newcomers or as guild leads or work group members or guild members. So I think that we lay this to rest, it helps us. The second thing on that trajectory is to now understand what the overlapping concerns are. All right. So what's onboarding doing? Onboarding has this very beautiful plan. In fact, I am privy to the suggestions and stuff that began this at onboarding. Interestingly, I'm also privy to the concerns of Strategy Guild. And it's basically to say, look, people are doing well. Is there a way to leverage? Is there a way to maximize? Is there a way to help people get their good works out there so that the whole program is, well, established in the sense that is achieving the purpose for which it was created to achieve. All right. So if we cater or address what the overlapping concerns are, I think that we may be able to find a way forward in this matter. All right. And nobody is going to stop onboarding from doing what they should do. Naturally, nobody is. And then nobody will stop Strategy Guild from doing what Strategy Guild wants to do. I mean, it's clear. All the guilds or the work group were established by proposals that had clear objectives. So I don't see any problem there. And because we are members of the same program, there's bound to be some type of overlapping here and there. Writers work group looks like education to me. Archive looks like knowledge base to me. It is when you get there, you realize, okay, so so they're a bit different, and okay, maybe they're not the same after all. If we're going to be together, we are going to make contact. And sometimes it's very difficult to pick the line where everybody meets. That's how we know that we are together. If we can see, if we don't overlap, or if we don't have the feeling of overlapping, then it means there's a big gap. I think what is important here is to have the mindset that we all can work together and get this going. I mean, we've had, I'm sure that there have been things that we were doing before that didn't continue because there was no need for it again. That's the same way how you have things that you are not doing before, but suddenly it looks as if it has to be done. So is there a way to move forward? Can we move forward somehow?
I think we can. Let's hear it from Walter on how to do that. Sorry, joking, but the floor is yours, Walter. And also, I do want to put a small reminder on, we're currently 15 minutes over the slot. So, yeah, I do want to, let's say, wrap in 5-ish.
First, I don't want to, tie up everybody's time. And if anybody needs to speak, jump right in. Short of that, let me cover those two main points. So the overall statement that cooperation and collaboration is predicated on, effective communication, that is true generally. But specifically, people in their open organization participation go through, an extended trajectory, often taking a number of years. So the type of communication actually does differ. For one thing is the recent arrival, talking to somebody who's been around a long time, is highly asymmetric. Whereas, two collaborating colleagues is a whole different dynamic and level of expectation and so on. I can tell you that having worked at Gitcoin for a year, and that's a much larger organization and ambassadors, we kept going back and forth whether there is a difference in onboarding somebody into the overall organization as compared to one of its work streams or guilds. And in the end, at least for myself, I decided that these are two separate steps, simply because, like you described well, nobody has the complete view to act as a traffic cop to direct all the new arrivals to all the and particularly, this somebody trying to do it doesn't really understand if it's outside their field of expertise, if they're a video person, will they be able to explain what the developers are looking for and so on, right? So basically, getting people into ambassadors is one thing, getting them contributing into a much more demanding, requirements of a specific guild is a separate activity. So we need to support both. Communicating between, efforts, to me, is a whole big thing still, and we gotta work towards it. But anything that has to do with bringing individuals up to speed and more integrated and giving them more opportunities, I strongly suggest we do through the success of the onboarding organization. These people have been around, for over a year. They've done a very substantive survey. They have a program. They have a regular meeting, lots and lots of experience. If people perceive gaps in that, tremendous, let's identify them and so on. But let's not create additional, grooves that people can fall into and somehow avoid or bypass or think they cannot benefit from our existing structure. So what I would offer is that indeed people who joined recently, if you can speak, if we can continue eliciting from them what the gaps were that they've experienced and so on, we will cover those. but we need to find out what they are. So maybe that would be best, is not to try to solve this in vacuum, but to solve it very specifically. You know, we solve it for one individual, we'll probably solve it for a dozen more who haven't spoken up.
Very true. Thanks a lot for that. Seeing chat, Sugar mentioning that town hall should maybe be an hour and a half, which would be funny, would be useful today. In a way, I don't mind running a bit later, but it's nicer if it's planned in advance than instead of just people apparently needing to be in a meeting for longer than advertised, let's say. That being said, I do still see 2 raised hands, which I'd like to give space. So, Vanessa.
If people want to hang on for a couple of minutes, I just wanted to say that whilst collaboration is brilliant, one of the amazing features of this program is that everyone does it different. Every work group has its own character. People are always saying, oh my God, there's overlap, and sometimes people do the same things. I think that's a great thing, because it means that you can go to the work group that you find congenial and still do some of the things that you want to do. So yeah, everyone does do onboarding differently. That is what our research showed. And so much of onboarding goes on within individual work groups. Once you're in, you go to a work group and then they support you, and it's continuous. Onboarding is never finished. But what the onboarding work group does, our remit is to look at onboarding to the program as a whole. And that's what we try to do. We do a lot of work behind the scenes that people maybe don't see, are not aware of. And I don't know, I'm feeling a little bit like, if this is not about trying not to reinvent the wheel, why does nobody inform themselves about what the wheel is? We've done so much work, so much research, and nobody reads it. We shared it repeatedly. We don't actually need help in how to share it. We did that really well, but nobody read it. And then everyone comes to the same conclusions that we came to, but 6 months later. And we're going, look, we're trying to do this. And people are just like, oh no, why doesn't Strategy Guild do it instead? And it's just like, no, this is not helpful. And it's the same people who just a short while ago were in the forum saying, hey, why don't we set up an onboarding work group? And this week we've also had in Treasury Guild, oh, let's talk about onboarding. Nobody comes to us and says, oh, can we get your insights as the onboarding work group about onboarding? So yeah, if we felt a little bit frustrated in this meeting, that's why we feel like we're shouting into the void, and we're doing really good work. And it's having an impact on individuals. They tell us all the time, it's great that you met me when I first came into the program and gave me one-to-one support. But what people are not doing is being aware of that. I'm going to shut up now because it's really upsetting.
Well, if I may, I would like to give a bit of context. I think what happened this afternoon was Felix seeing this kind of connector role, and then the label Navigator got slapped onto it, and now it maybe shifts a little bit from how Felix intended it this afternoon. I'm not sure if you would agree with that.
Yeah, I wasn't really talking about this afternoon. I was talking about months and months and months of this. And it does feel like, for some reason, it's onboarding work group that gets it. I go to other work groups. I don't see anybody coming to them and going, justify what you're doing, and we think we could do it better. I don't see that.
I can't speak for everybody, but if that's how it comes across right now, that can't be it. Wouldn't be my intention, at least. I'm also wondering a little bit. For example, this afternoon, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it was pushed like, well, we already have this role, or plans for doing this role.
I think so. I mean, I had to leave before that, but I think Sucre did say that.
Yeah, I was there, and I basically said that this was something the onboarding work group was working on already. So Yeah,
Okay.
I'm surprised that it's been talked about in different ways. It's just a simple thing.
All right. Well, there's more.
Really, we have just 5 minutes.
Yes. So I'll give more turns, but please keep them like don't make it like 5 minute turn. Ayo. You are a little bit muted if you are speaking, Ayo. And if not,
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. I was waiting for you to, I didn't hear you call me. Okay, so I'm just a bit I just want to have a sense of progress. All right. I just want to have a sense of progress. And many ways to find a way to move forward. Yes, we have onboarding work group. Yes, we had a conversation in the afternoon in governance call. Yes, there's one strategic guild that was not functioning and then became functional again, what they want to do. Yes, there are people who are just joining the program. Yes, there are people within the program. Yes, there is a need for collaboration. Yes, there's a need for communication. Yes, there's a need for people to be aware of what has been concluded, researched, and documented, which still comes under information, maybe now some type of education, but still information. So yes, so we all agree. And I think that this is the problem here. We think we all disagree, but it turned out that we all agree. That's why, because if it was a disagreement, it would have been easy to say, oh, you were wrong, oh, he is right. But now everyone is right. And I think we're all wondering, how can we all be right while we are saying so many different things? Yes, I think we are all correct. Whatever, everything everyone has said is true. A lot of work done, yes. A lot of work not appreciated, yes. A lot of people still needing one or two things, yes. Now, we have one or two options, and I mean, there are ways to go about it. If we create a navigator role, what is the worst that will happen? If we do not create navigator role, what is the worst that could happen? All right. And then that way we can choose the lesser evil and move forward. Or to say, if we decide to say we're not having the role and no role, then what guarantees are we giving ourselves? It's better is if I wanted to do something and I had two approaches to use for that singular problem and I have them at my fingertips, I think I'll use both. All right. I think I'll use both and then decide afterwards which one wasn't necessary and stop it. I think that's a way to, I think guaranteeing is better than having to defend. So I think I would just go with guarantee. All right. So that way it may be easier to move forward. Yeah, not having a navigator role would not necessarily disturb anyone. But if maybe it could just even be that there's a way to find the hybrid solution. What if somebody says, okay, navigator role, right? We have a plan that looks like navigator role. So therefore, we are bringing somebody from onboarding work group, as somebody from onboarding work group to become the navigator. That works. That solves the problem. If strategy guild says, okay, so if you are giving us if you are letting somebody from onboard to be the navigator, we also would like that person to serve as a communication or information conduit to serve the whole program strategy, I don't think that will be a problem. We may just be able to go forward like that. So please, I mean, it's already too long on this conversation.
All right. Thank you. Gabriel, the floor is yours.
I'll try and be 1 minute or less. I'm commenting in the comment section. I feel like this is an obvious contention, an area of challenge that would be rightly addressed by governance working group in the first instance, which then feeds into strategy working group in the second instance to help with what they're supposed to do. Governance working group should help with how do we govern as a community, which includes conflict resolution and training and accountability and quality communication, nonviolent communication. All of these things is part of a governance working group. And then strategy would help to formalize or guide consolidating the learnings that come through that to then facilitate and enable going forwards. I just made a suggestion in the sidebar. I'm coming up to my minute. I'm going to try and keep to it. I would do a diagram of the general onboarding process, and I understand it's custom and there's nuance and there's tailor-made, but just a general gist is very easy for any Web3 community, decentralized, whatever, corporation, 10,000 people. It doesn't really make a difference. We can have a general simplified diagram that helps identify what the onboarding process is and make that visible. And at least it helps with that communication, just as one suggestion, which again is the kind of thing that would be talked about in a governance and or strategy working group. Thanks.
Thank you. I still see some disagreement in chat. Vanessa calling out that this is literally what they are working on within onboarding. So, maybe the simplest thing, and I'm just going to be honest, I did put it in chat earlier as well. I remember this call out on the role from onboarding side more on being the newcomer and showing around kind of approach rather than something which overlaps quite a bit with this role we're discussing now. So from my personal side, I do need to revisit. I can pretend I still actively am fully aware of everything that's in there, but I'm not. So for me, I just need to reread. And then if we can figure out if there's, for some reason, big glaring omissions there, yeah, maybe we could suggest adding that and then go from there, because it's already planned for Q3, and that starts in 3 weeks. So I imagined onboarding would be working faster than this discussion getting solved in the first place.
I'd like to support Sucre and Vanessa in being frustrated that people throw up ideas without having even looked at what's already there. Like, okay, you think a diagram would help? Is that based on personal experience, or you're just good at generating ideas? If you struggled without the diagram, generate a diagram, show it to people, see if it helps anyone, right? Or maybe go to people who've been doing it for a year. And, it needs to be useful, not interesting and innovative. So what I would offer is that we continue supporting people who've been doing the heavy lifting, and that if Vanessa and Sucre are receptive, give you a podium, let's say within the town hall format, let's say dedicate 30 minutes to it, where you tell people what's there already, you turn them on to the survey, so you get more data points, and we work this process not jumping to solutions, but identifying the gaps, and then covering them well and intentionally, not just like shooting from the hip.
Makes sense to me. Sugar?
Yeah, just really quick. I just wanted to say the purpose of having this navigator role was to gather information. And when you gather this information, what are you going to do with it? So we in Onboarding Workgroup, having thought about this, the main purpose of doing this was that when we get this information, it helps our onboarding. It helps people who come into the program. They have some skills that they want to contribute to the program. Okay, fine. Let's say you have skills in video editing and stuff like that. Video Workgroup is the right place for you because we have gotten this information. Or some persons come and they say, they bring up an idea. Oh, there's this workgroup who is currently working on this, and this is where you should go to. So that's basically one of the reasons why we brought about this whole idea. I just wanted to put that out.
Yeah, fair. Vanessa, just making sure you want to leave that as a chat comment or maybe also
Okay.
say it?
Yeah, I was just saying that part of the issue here, I think, is the timing that this is coming up with, because like all work groups, we are planning our Q3 budget and coming up with ideas for new work. And of course, we're pooling all the work that we've done over the last probably 3 quarters and saying, okay, well, that worked, that didn't work. How are we going to synthesize that into something new? And of course, people are not aware of that work yet because we're planning it. But I still think that before people start bandying ideas about how onboarding should be done, at least ask the onboarding work group rather than just going off in a corner in Strategy Guild and coming up with something. Just like if I had an idea about something that could be done around writing, I'd go and have a chat with Kenichi first.
Quickly. I think that there's still some elements of discord, and I don't know why that is. All right, we have to try and achieve balance. Balance is very important. If you want to ask somebody about onboarding, to be honest, it's like saying, ask the shoe company about making shoes. No, you should ask the person wearing the shoes. That's the person, that's who. So onboarding, the question of how onboarding should be done should be asked to people who have been onboarded. I'm just saying, because if we keep putting this inwards, then it's going to always bring out issues. If you want to ask how onboarding has been done so far, yes, you can ask the onboarding work group. All right. Now, we all got here because we all agreed. We agreed to be here. We agreed that there was something that we needed to work on. And now we have come to the conclusion that onboarding is already working on something wonderful. Yes. Nobody is disputing that. Nobody is saying what onboarding is working on will not solve the problem. All right? Nobody, because it's not been done yet, and nobody is second guessing the veracity of the solution. So yes. But now, I think it's just a point where how can we achieve a win-win? All right? Onboarding work group is a major stakeholder in this matter, in the sense that a part of the navigation or the navigator role means helping somebody to find their way, which sounds exactly like what onboarding does or should do. Yes, no problem. But there's also a part where there has to be collaboration and communication. Nobody is saying anything about that. And if you don't address that, then it means that you are not considering other work groups or other guilds. Strategy guild has to be strategy guild. Video work group has to be video, writers have to be writers. Every other work groups and guilds have to exist, and they also play major roles in what this program is all about. So would it ought for onboarding work group to do what onboarding work group has planned to do? We have the leverage of time and budget already, so we have advantage. Could onboarding work group do what it wants to do? And then can onboarding work group volunteer to say, okay, you guys want this, you want this navigator role so bad, and we are telling you that we are the one that is most equipped and qualified to do it. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to make it better for you. We are going to give you somebody, or we are going to discuss this in onboarding, because we understand this more than you all understand. We've had 3/4 of research and 3/4 of work on this thing. So we are going to give you what is best for a navigator person, a navigator role, and then you can then take that to other guilds and make sure that you impute what you need for communication or for collaboration from that guild. We are onboarding Workgroup. We just want to be able to onboard well, and we just want you guys to appreciate that we've been doing a wonderful job of it. I think that's a win-win, and then we all can go. That way nobody feels like I'm not appreciated, we didn't do stuff and things like that. And I don't think there should be a problem with having a win-win. I think we should all strive for a win-win. I think that's just good.
All right, thank you. Sugar? I'm not sure if you still have your hand up, to be honest, or if it's a new one, but as you wish.
Yeah, sorry, it's the old one.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Then Duke Peter.
Hi everyone. I sincerely apologize. I'm weighing in, pretty late in this conversation. I had intended to join in the conversation much earlier, but I was on the road and it was pretty noisy. But I've had to pick bits and pieces of everything that has been said, especially also being that
You've gone silent, Duke. I don't know if you can hear me.
not the first time this conversation is. I don't know if you can hear me. So I just want to lend a thought. And the thought I want to lend is that sometimes we have to be careful so that in the process of trying to pass our point across, it does not get the method, it's not misconstrued as a witch hunt. Oftentimes the dividing line could be pretty slim, when we employ some really aggressive methodologies in trying to, like I said, I've heard something about the navigator role. I really don't know what that is. I haven't been part of the conversation actively from the beginning, but I believe that with the way we are going about it, we may end up creating an endless spiral. By that, I mean that eventually we may not be able to control the outcome of all of these things, because from where I stand, having not, with the distance into this call, of course, I mean, those of us here would know that I'm pretty much more active than, I have been today. But then it's looking like onboarding is on a grill, it's looking like onboarding is put on the spotlight, and it's onboarding work group is literally being grilled in and out and all that. It may not be the case, but that's what it looks like. And I want to think that this may have been a more appropriate conversation, maybe not for a town hall. I joined one of the breakout rooms where discussions were made about guild leaders coming together, and guild leaders coming together monthly, and stuff like this could be discussed and all of that. Because if we're grilling the onboarding work group like this, it's pretty much like they are not having breathing space. Everything that's being said is not being heard or is being reinterpreted and all that. And yeah, it's more like we have a definite stand on this, and we may not. We're more concerned about the stand and the objectivity around all of that. Question I would like to ask is that, do we have any plan of grilling the next work group in the next town hall meeting? And in literally rolling out every single detail about what they do and where they are failing and where they are succeeding and all of that stuff. And do we have that long term? Because this may end up becoming an endless spiral where someone else may misconstrue everything that's going on here, and then just like, for example, what I noted, the most obvious thing I noted is that a good number of people had dropped out of the call, right? Because it did not, in my opinion, it no longer looked like the call was serving an ecumenical purpose. It now, some aspects of the call began to look really personal, and then all of that stuff. I don't even know what all of this I'm saying means. I think I'm just trying to say that, the end of when we push some things to the extreme, we may be starting another round of, problems that we may not be able to solve and all of that stuff. This conversation can be held within a balance, and it could, in my opinion, it really doesn't have to linger this long. I think I was in Strategy Guild meeting yesterday, and we had a conversation somewhat around this, and it was a productive conversation. There were exchanges from all corners, and it made sense. I don't think it's my responsibility to import the deductions or to import that conversation in here. I think that should be the responsibility of the Strategy Guild themselves and all of that. But with what had happened or with what was discussed yesterday, there are aspects that I've heard so far that feels overstretched. With all due respect to everyone who's contributing on this, I've heard comments from Walter and a good number of persons that I feel that if those comments were paid attention to, we really don't have any need overstretching this. It's now beginning to look from afar. It's beginning to look like, I called it a grilling at some point, then I called it a witch hunt at some point. It's like, okay, like it's like intentionally discrediting the efforts of, people, and without without paying acute attention to the other merits, and all of that stuff. I'm speaking from a very distant angle, and I think it's a safe angle because if it's a town hall, it means that we're opening ourselves to new persons, and if a new person just joined up and heard us having these basbos, for those who know what basbos means, by the way, it's just sounds a bit off. I think we can repurpose this conversation and hold it either within governance guild or within the meeting where we talked about having guild leaders come together. And if we need everybody to roll out their records of achievements, roll out whatever it is, some form of accountability, or it makes some sense, right? And then when we can, that way everybody can collectively see that, okay, this thing happened the way it was supposed to happen. And then everybody can collectively ideate on, next steps, first steps, just whatever is needed. But I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, thanks for that. I mean, I can't speak for everybody again, but I would strongly disagree with a witch hunt towards, well, in this case, then onboarding. I do recognize that maybe the setup of having breakout rooms, then coming back and having a longer discussion in the shared room than the breakout room was in the first place might indicate that the breakout room setup for this was not ideal, because it also brings this element of repetition for those that were in the other breakout room. That might also contribute to it feeling like it drags on and drags on. But in my mind, the simple conclusion would be, okay, those that are not aware of onboarding's plans for Q3, have a check, see if there's gaps, and fix it. Or fix it, and sorry, and suggest those gaps to be filled. Or if there's the reasons, if it's intentional and by design, then I don't know, then we can go from there. But that feels to me like a very straightforward fix, because as I mentioned before, I'm not fully up to date on the suggestion for Q3. So then, I don't know. I also don't want to cut short the conversation, and I do want to give people their room for sharing the vision. But at the same time, the last thing I want is that a work group feels during town hall that they're getting grilled and looked at every small minuscule detail and getting burned down on it. That's clearly not what town hall is intended for. So yeah, my suggestion on the concrete side of things would be, let's check those plans and see what's potentially, if anything, if would be missing to add it to it, and then we have the whole topic sorted. Gabriel, go for it.
Another real quick one here. It's another opportunity, not for strategy or whatever, to dictate how another working group should do things. But for example, as a cross-collaborative community, there should be suggestion boxes and or surveys or invitations from every working group to be able to share ideas that are given to, like, constraints and problems, and like it's not about stepping on toes. It's about helping to identify opportunities. And again, in my mind, that's something that could be the responsibility of a governance group, a process group, which I know we've also got, and a strategy group, to help bring those kind of things into the community, so it doesn't end up at the stage where it feels like a conflict between one working group and another working group. That's like the most ridiculous situation for any of us to be in. But where there is a strategy in place that allows people to share their observations in a way that is useful and transparent and available and invited by all of us, so that the working groups can take that into consideration and make their iterations of process and whatever visible in a comfortable way for everyone. So again, I see it as opportunity for governance, process, strategy. And
Gabriel, I have to say, you're misunderstanding how all of this works, which I understand you're new, but strategy group is, listen, strategy group, there is no strategy guild. There is, we had one running, and then there was a meeting, and that's all. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what the problems are, and yet you want to now tell everybody how to run this organization. You must be joking.
I've been in the community for a year. I've had my observations.
Dude, you still don't even understand the difference between the marketing leadership and the ambassador leadership. Are you kidding me?
Where did I, please point me to a message where I don't understand the difference.
Yeah, when you were commenting in the marketing group, you were talking like this is ambassador governance. Seriously, like I said, if I have to explain, you wouldn't understand. How about you plug into the work instead of trying to steer the ship you hardly just got on board of?
I was replying to someone else in reference to ambassador. I haven't mistaken marketing leadership with ambassador leadership. That's a ridiculous comment. I'm surprised at your outburst. Quite offensive.
Because you keep saying strategy this, strategy that. We're trying to get work done here. We're not looking to create yet more process.
There's a process guild, there's a governance guild, and there's a strategy guild. And I've observed—
That is wrong. You're wrong. You don't even know who is in those organizations.
There's channels on the Discord.
I pressed the mute all button. I'm sorry, I hate pressing the mute all button, but this is useless. Also noting that we're almost 2 hours in, and this will likely contribute to how much chill everybody is. But I cannot follow even one of you at the same time. So that's just very unproductive. I mean, this is the worst way of ending a call, and I don't want to fully. So I'm inclined to give you both 1 or 2 more sentences. But yeah, we're not gonna have 10 minutes of talking at the same time. That's just really not, yeah, not the way.
Can we go home now, Peter?
Yeah, Peter, remember when I said this was going to be an endless spiral? Pretty much something like this.
Yes, but there's
You guys practically made it so, with long conversations. Let's just go home. Good night, everyone.
I try to create a space so that people don't feel scrutinized in a wrong way, and yeah, that's clearly not really working out. Can only conclude that. Yeah, it's multiple times already. In a way, maybe the breakout rooms. Maybe that's a bit of a recap on the setup for today. These topics are too connected. The roles should be, as Vanessa suggested multiple times in chat. It's too connected. It shouldn't be two separate topics. Just a work group lead group figuring out that navigating role. It's just the simplest, most simple in a way. Right.
I think we should.
Yeah,
I think
Peter. So I would just say that for us to just move forward, this shouldn't be run. The navigator role shouldn't be run by any guild at all, by any work group at all. It should be a neutral role when anybody from any work group can get this role. And whatever information comes out of it, probably will just the information should be sent to probably the work group leads meeting or something like that. So I don't want to talk about this so much because it was just a very simple thing, and it seems like we are now blowing it out of proportion. It should just be something neutral.
Yeah, that was my concern as well. We should just move forward. Yeah, let onboarding work group do what onboarding work group would like to do, and let everybody just live and let live. Please, 2 hours, man.
Very true. Well, if any role is very well suited for being a neutral cross work group role, then it's this one. So yeah. Sorry, apologies for the. I think it's just a duration thing. I did remember somebody arguing for making the tunnel an hour and a half. Yeah. No, on a more serious note, I really hate if people feel they're getting treated unwell. At the same time, it's also hard to moderate that and not cut people off. It's a balance, let's say.
Can I just raise something really quickly? Do we think that this meeting would be a good thing to put on YouTube like we normally do? I'm not saying that we shouldn't. If people think, let's show ourselves as, we really are. But I'm just wondering, in terms of like the optics of it, I don't know.
It has to be edited.
This is why this kind of thing should have been brought up in a work group guild leads meeting.
I think it's fine. I don't see any issues with it. I mean, except we want to pretend unnecessarily. I mean,
not about pretending, mate. It's the fact that I've been sat in a meeting close to tears, and I don't really want that on YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, people. Yeah, I mean, but I don't see how it's bad as it were. It's just people having conversations on issues.
Yeah, but it's not happening to you, is it?
Confrontation and collaboration.
There's such a thing as
confrontation and collaboration is the best way to solve issues. That's how you solve issues. The best way is confrontation and collaboration. That's conflict resolution. That's the first prescribed way to solve issues.
Those are two different things, Ayo.
Not by dodging them. And if you have a session where that is done, I don't see the problem. I think the problem came here. We got here because there were issues that were continually swept under the carpet. That's why you have so much what's it called tonight, because they were not trashed when they were little. That's why I got here. So I know, I happen to know exactly what I'm saying. If you don't want to put it on YouTube, that's fine because it can be edited. But to try to bring out a point by saying, I mean, if you want to put this on YouTube and you don't want certain parts to be there, it will be edited very easily. But that's not to point out that we should not have a meeting where people talk. Luckily, I'm not one of the people that had issues with anybody. I think that's Walter and somebody. So I'm not even I didn't even have, if somebody was talking, I keep quiet. If the person was done talking, I'll speak. So, I mean, but I don't see why we should blow it out of proportion. Yeah, in the heat of the moment, people can exchange words, but even at that, they just didn't keep quiet. It wasn't like anybody insulted anybody. So
Right. The end of a 2-hour call is not the best time to discuss what to do with the recording or not. At the same time, I also see barely any benefit of figuring that one out after this. Yeah.
Sorry, Peter. I guess all Vani was trying to say is that there should be a purpose for a town hall meeting, right? Not it really wasn't about the recording. It was an indirect way of sending our minds to something. Now, if our town hall meetings typically should be public conversations where it's unedited conversation that we put out there for public consumption, right? Now, if this cannot be put out there, can we then say inversely that this met or this justified the claims of a town hall meeting? It is not whether it's not whether we are trying to be manipulative or we are hiding details or no. It's to draw attention to utility and purpose. If this cannot be put out, if we have to edit, if we have to do anything that shrouds the integrity of this conversation in the way and in the order with which it was held, can we then say it was a town hall? If we cannot, then it brings up a further conversation. Do we now need to repeat this next time? Because like I said,
No, that makes sense. That would create some kind of precedent. At the same time, if somebody steps up during a recorded meeting indicating that they do not want to be that
the attention of the people who are supposed to be the town hall, who are supposed to be the audience, right? I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't think she was trying to say or insinuate that we shouldn't put anything online, but it was an indirect way of sending our minds to the fact that this has gone or overstretched the definition of what a town hall should be. Are we planning on greeting the next work group or investigating the affairs of the next work group in the next town hall, right? And that's why I talked about an endless ripple, right? Because how we manage or contain this would define how we manage and contain many other things, right? I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, Gabriel, one more, and let's keep it short because we're close over.
Yeah,
I would say, okay, sorry.
Well,
I just wanted to say, Peter, just do what you do with the town hall.
Literally just to say that a code of conduct should exist, that people use a raise the hand button to speak.
I'll click that button before replying. I do agree. That's just yeah. The moment two people start talking at the same time, it's you don't hear both. End of story there. All right. So yeah, chat suggestions for just pretty much putting the first hour out. I'm quite okay with that personally. Some raised hands.
Yeah, it seems to me like the first hour, I don't know if the work group leads thing was the one that had the recording in the breakout room. I think that was the most productive of these breakout rooms that we had. So maybe that should be the message we have out there. So like going with Walter's 1 hour thing. I don't know how long town halls are supposed to be on YouTube, but then just do what you do, Peter. Whatever is out there is out there.
They can be as long as we want. Yeah. I don't know. I just
All right then.
always at the end of, and that's also what drags on. Like I feel like maybe if we just spend a bit more time, we can straighten things out, and everybody can realize we all want the same thing in the end, and we don't have to do repeating of efforts in different spaces, unless there's a good reason to do double the same thing just for different perspectives. Yeah, and yeah, also something to pick out of Vanessa's comment in chat. We are all humans. That's something to keep in mind, of course. We can't always go perfect. All right, Onyeka. I promise this is the last hand after this comment, unless people want to reply, because no, kidding. Onyeka, go for it. And this will be the last contribution to the call.
All right. I'm not going to drag any issue. I just wanted to ask a question. So, Peter, how are we going to present the town hall? Because I know that we had two different breakout rooms. So, how are we going to do that? Is it going to be separate recording or separate video for each breakout session?
Well, I think the answer might be very practical there. I'm not sure if the second one got recorded. If it's not recorded, well, there's your answer. If it is recorded, we'll need to splice it in.
Which was the second one? Was that the one about the whole issue of contention? Because I think I recorded it.
If you recorded that, then it works. I was on the workgroup lead call one, recording as well. So yeah, I guess afterwards, when you close the meeting, it starts conversing and conversing and stuff. I hope a recording pops out on your side for that room. All right.
Bye, guys.
I hope it doesn't cause too much distress after this call closes. If anybody wants to share stuff, always feel free to DM. I'm quite open to learning a thing or two here. Yeah. I do want to thank you for sharing your time. I hope next time won't be sharing this much time, because yeah, clearly there's at some point it's just no longer productive. So a lesson learned there at least. Yeah. I hope to either see some continuing conversation with respect for all each other's different opinions on Discord or in one of many of the upcoming community calls we have. Can't win them all. I'm sorry for not having a perfect call this time, but next one will be better. That's that's a promise.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Right.
Thank you so much.